Stuart Atwell 1, West Ham 0. We've just witnessed West Ham unfortunately get beat from Man City at the Etihad. Still, we are live. Get your comments in. Let us know your opinions on the game. Still, let's just go straight into it. Team selection. Off you go.
Well, to be honest with you, I was really surprised at the team selection that came up. I think I know I certainly saw. Is this live, by the way? Because I haven't had a notification. Yeah?
Yeah.
There's no notifications come up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely live, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I saw red, and I'm not sure if many others did, when I saw Andy Carroll as a starter and Andy Carroll as captain of the team.
Yeah.
I thought it was an absolute joke, and I had to check and double check every single website I could access in order to confirm that. I was shocked, and then I started looking at other team selections. Ben Johnson, a great prospect, starting at left back when he's primarily a right back or a centre back, and Obiang, who hasn't had a great season at all, starting. So I kind of fumed, and it's funny. Earlier in the day, I put up a note saying on social media saying we should be positive thinking. Football's like theatre. You never know what's going to happen. And we should get behind the team. And then almost about an hour or so later, I saw the team news and I put out a what the fuck post, and I ranted. I have to be honest, I absolutely ranted. But breaking down the team selection, you could see why Ben Johnson started, because we understand that Creswell had a knock. And let's face it, I think anyone playing left back over Masuaku would have been preferred. But hats off to Ben Johnson. He had a really good start. He had a really good game. And you can see him playing some part in the game against Newcastle on Saturday.
Has Pellegrini proven after that? I mean, we'll go into the game a little bit more in depth in a minute, but has he proven to any of the doubters on his team selection his method and his madness tonight?
I think the one thing that he's maybe upset a lot of fans on is his rhetoric about going out there to win every game, and to do that you need to always put out your strongest team. He clearly had one eye on Newcastle on Saturday, because there were several players on the bench that he could have started. He could have started Snodgrass. He could have started Hernandez. They were both benched. Noble, who I've not been the greatest fan of, wasn't even in the team sheet. We understand Arnautovic was injured at the last minute with the Chinese transfer window closing tomorrow, but we won't read much into that. So I think it was a bit of an odd one, because if you're going to want to win a game, any game, then you put out your strongest team. And he didn't put out his strongest team today. But that's not knocking. I think there's only one player I'm going to knock, and we'll come to that. But that's not knocking the overall team performance. I think the overall team performance against one of the best teams in Europe was excellent. Mm-hmm. So was there method in his madness? I think he was forced to make a change for left back that I've just mentioned. It's sort of understandable that he couldn't play Noble today, as well as having played him last Friday, as well as planning to play him against Newcastle on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I get that. But Andy Carroll up front.
Well, let's just go on straight Andy Carroll then. Obviously, we knew or found out quite last minute that Arnautovic, he's put a statement or whatever, Instagram, social media, saying he's not well, or he alluded to the fact he's not well. Nothing to do with the fact that the Chinese transfer window closes tomorrow.
I was just being facetious, mate.
Yeah. Chicharito, didn't start, and I mean Perez looks to be just
gone. Yeah, done, but you know what, mate? But he could have started if he wanted to rest players. He could have started Diangana on the right, mm-hmm. and he could have put Antonio up front. He could have put Anderson as a false number 9. And put Snodgrass out left or whatever. But no one's going to tell me that Andy Carroll deserved to start today. even over someone like the youngster Diangana. You know, Andy Carroll had one shot on target, which was well taken and well saved by the keeper. But apart from that, he did absolutely fuck all in the whole game. Nothing. You know, and everyone says you should play to his strengths. I'm sick of hearing that. You know, a Premiership player, Premier League player should be able to adapt according to team requirements, and he can't. Can't run. He can't move. He's not skillful. He doesn't win balls in the air anymore. He's got no pace. He's got no sense of what's around him. You know, it was almost as if we were playing with 10 players, and one wonders, given the situation that Man City were in, having played 120 minutes at the weekend, you know, having had a number of key players injured in defence and central midfield, one wonders what we could have got out of today if he played a stronger team. And so it's the first time this season I'm going to criticise Pellegrini. You know, even after when we lost to Wimbledon, I didn't criticise him. I criticised the players that were on the pitch who didn't do anything. But today, I think he got it wrong. I think he should have started other players.
I get that point. But after watching that performance, albeit in the first maybe 20 minutes that Manchester City had 83% or 2% of the possession, but West Ham frustrated Manchester City tonight, and you know their squad depth is crazy, and you know people can say Mahrez wasn't at the races today and Sané wasn't at the races today, but you know let's give players their due. Ben Johnson controlled that left back position, mate. And also Ryan Fredericks took no prisoners when it comes to Sané. Now Sané, you said in the preview, is a very important player for Man City. He's involved in a lot of goals and a lot of assists, and Fredericks literally had him in his back pocket all game. You know what,
Anton? I'm not actually criticising our defence. I think we were really, really well drilled today. We were really, really well disciplined. I think Anderson could have shown up a little bit more today. It seemed Antonio run himself into the ground. Obiang and Rice were okay, but you know nothing superb. Rice probably had one of his quieter games today, but the defence was actually really, really well drilled. And hats off. You know, Fredericks is beginning to show why we were interested in him all last season. Diop and Ogbonna did really well in central defence, and absolutely Ben Johnson had a great debut. Absolutely, I'm not actually criticising that. I just think we could have. I just think Pellegrini could have done more. Maybe been a bit bolder in maybe the centre of the park and up front. You know, and I would have maybe started Diangana, as I said, and had Carroll on the bench as a backup, not the other way round. Yeah. You know, I think that's the biggest disappointment of all. And there's no love lost for me for Carroll. I can't wait to see him go. I can't wait to see £100,000 a week being put to better use on a better player. But to start him tonight was a mistake.
Surely,
it was a mistake.
You know, you hear rumours coming at the club left, right, and centre about everything, whether people are right or wrong. And you know, you've heard some rumours talking about Pellegrini saying, you know, we're open to keeping Carroll, but to be honest with you, still he's not. Since Pellegrini's come in, and you know, Carroll's found himself in fit again for the first time in however. And he's had a run of games, he literally isn't offering anything in Pellegrini's style of play.
Zero.
Surely now, again, after tonight's performance, Pellegrini can see that you know there is no further future for Carroll. My only biggest concern about this whole thing, though, still is that if he's playing 90 minutes, I mean, are West Ham running the risk of though his contract runs up at the end of the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
so he's gone either way if we don't. Yeah,
we've had a real weird season for our strikers this season. You know, Pellegrini went out and got himself Perez to back up the three strikers that we already had because he knew Carroll wasn't trusted to be fit. And he brought in Silva. What's happened to Silva? Is he out injured by the way?
I think he's injured, but I think he's on his way back. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as I reckon in Pellegrini's mind, he was thinking Carroll would have been fourth, maybe even fifth choice, you know. But he's had the Arnautovic saga. He's had Arnautovic injured a couple of times. He's had Hernandez in and out of the team because of injury. Perez has become another dickhead, you know, thinking he's better than the club. And unfortunately, Silva had a couple of promising games, and now he's injured as well. So all of a sudden, Andy Carroll's gone from fifth choice to first bloody choice. But like I say, I wouldn't have played Andy Carroll up front today. I would have played a false number 9. I would have played Antonio there, anyone else there but him, because you're absolutely right. He did offer nothing, and I thought that Pellegrini would have found that out after the Wimbledon game when Carroll had an absolutely abysmal game there as well.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no chance that we're going to keep him. He will be let go.
Let's bring it all the way back to our defence. Big shout out tonight to Ogbonna, or in actual fact, all of our defence: Ogbonna, Diop, Johnson, Zabaleta and Fabianski in particular, because we always go on about missing out on Balbuena. Oggy, everyone knows my opinion on Oggy. He's up and down, but do you know what? When he has a good game, I'll completely admit it. And tonight he was on fire. He looked solid. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He could take the ball out of the back. He was reading the game well, as was Diop. And we briefly mentioned, and how important is it still, having Balbuena and even long lost his cousin Winston Reid on the way back. I mean, how important is it that West Ham have these 4 quality centre halves charging for those 2 positions?
If they're all kept and if they're all injury free, excellent. The only problem is, I think after Ogbonna's recent spell of games, having got better and better, he's not going to want to go back on the bench. And so I can actually, unfortunately, see him going. I think he'll go back to Italy at the end of the season. Reid, if Reid comes back and stays fit, yes, he would be a good option. But I think, given that potentially we'll lose Ogbonna, and given that Pellegrini has learnt his lesson from the front line, like relying on the likes of Carroll, he may not want to rely on Reid being injury free. So I can actually see us going in for a centre back in the new season.
But I'm more referencing the run into the season, having how important is that for West Ham to have players available to challenge the likes of Ogbonna, Diop, and all them.
The run in, for the rest of the season, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because you always need to be on edge, on your toes. Sorry, when you get selected, and you want to keep your place. So if you've got a player breathing down your neck, then absolutely it will add to the competition.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what Pellegrini wanted throughout the whole team.
Yeah.
He wanted 2 players for every position to be actually competing, against each other. Look on the right side, Zabaleta and Fredericks. He's used Zabaleta, he's used Fredericks, etc., etc. And now there's genuine competition for that place.
Yeah.
He's going to want the same thing on the left side. He's going to want someone to challenge Cresswell. And absolutely in the centre of defence, the same. So if we kept those 4 players, if all those 4 players kept fit, and were challenging each other, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's what we want going into the new season as well.
Still, how funny is it after the Fulham game that we all said if that was against Manchester City in the first 3 minutes, we'd have been down 3-0. And lo and behold, tonight in the first 4 minutes, Manchester City had 3 clear-cut chances, didn't take them, and we were still 0-0 into the game. So, we've got to have maybe a little bit more faith in the West Ham, albeit we were torn apart in the first 3 or 4 minutes in particular, and we were probably lucky.
Being torn apart and not getting scored against is absolutely fine for me.
Yeah.
Especially against a team like City away from home.
Yeah.
It's their loss, it's their problem more than ours. We rode our luck and good.
And there's no denying the fact that they held a lot of possession, but there was a fucking great, crazy statistic that came out in the game. So obviously at the start, Manchester City had about 82% of possession and West Ham had 18%. But in the space of 15 minutes, West Ham changed that 18% to nearly 40% possession. So it showed that we were growing into the game and growing with a bit of confidence.
Absolutely.
And, like we said, Ben Johnson was keeping people at bay and Fredericks keeping people at bay. But unfortunately, the referee decided to give his own team an assist and a goal. And I'm really, talk me through it still. I mean, how soft was it?
What's really galling is if we got slaughtered tonight, we'd all go, yeah, we expected it. And we would have sort of brushed it off and gone, oh, well, it's one of those things, I think, what was it people said, we'll take that hit, etc., etc. But to lose against City, against any top team, for one of the softest penalties ever is really, really, really hard to take.
Yeah,
really hard to take. I think that's out of everything tonight, I've just laid into Andy Carroll as far as our team's selection is concerned. But overall, it was absolutely disgusting. You saw it in slow motion. Anderson didn't fucking touch the player. He went down so easy, and the fact that the referee fell for it. I can't wait for VAR to come in. For things like that, because I think
for that level of teams, for the teams like the top 6, I think they'll be shitting themselves when it comes to VAR. To be honest,
yeah, because they're not going to get what all the decisions that go from. It's funny, Ant. We were accused of cheating on Friday against Fulham for our first goal. Bernardo Silva cheated us tonight for that penalty.
Yeah.
I see that no different. Whether it's a handball, whether it's an offside, like we played against Liverpool, or whether it's a player going down in the box and getting awarded a penalty for absolutely fuck all. As far as I'm concerned, that's still cheating.
Yeah.
And it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting to see it. And you just kind of knew. As soon as he went down, I kind of went, yeah, what's coming here. You knew he was going to give a penalty.
Still, you used the word there, disgusting. Sorry for interrupting you. You used the word disgusting there, and it is disgusting. And if someone's picking up on the fact that why I find this one more hurtful than others in the past, solely down to the fact that we went into the game probably low in confidence with the team selection. The team started proving to the West Ham fans that we're working hard to try and grind out a result, and the referee can go fucking make a stupid decision like that.
Yeah.
It was so fucking blatant, and he was right in front of that decision. Yeah. It was so blatant, and I could see it. We could all see it from the cameras. In actual fact, we know guys that were in the stands that could see it from the stands. People may say that Anderson was, maybe naive enough to be in that position, but he's going to be there, and it's not fucking.
People keep blaming Anderson for not tracking back. Yeah. And so you can't blame him for not tracking back, and you can't blame him for tracking back and then not even being responsible for that. That wasn't a penalty, mate.
No, it
wasn't. So I can't blame Anderson for it. It was just a really, really, really bad decision. Really bad decision, and the ref fell for it.
I think. Do you know what I think it is? Still, I think it comes down to the fact that the players probably desperate to say it, and we can say it all we want, but they're too scared they're too scared not to give it, to be challenged by Pep Guardiola. I actually think that some of these refs are in awe of these teams, and and are scared. There's that celebrity status at Pep Guardiola in Manchester City, and they're surrounded by £500 million of players on the park.
I said during the game, straight after, if Anderson had gone down in their penalty area exactly the same, the ref would have waved it on and gone carry on playing. That's exactly. So I agree with you. I think they are overawed. These refs, they're standing next to multi-million-pound players.
Absolutely.
And they must be sort of scratching themselves, going, look who I'm standing next to. And I think you're right. I think there is a sense of that sort of being awestruck, and the top teams get decisions that go for them more times than they should. And I agree with you. When VAR comes in, they're going to be shitting themselves because they're not going to be getting the decision that they've been getting.
No,
100%. So that's two games against top opposition in the last few weeks, against Liverpool and offside, and against Man City tonight. Okay, we didn't suffer from the offside. We got a point, but we could have won that, and we could have got a point out of tonight. So we've suffered twice.
It's disappointing though, and I know everyone probably watching is disappointed as well. I just can't. It just seems to really this one tonight has wound me up more than any of them in the past, solely down to the fact that our expectations were dropped and they became a bit higher. Like I said, the team effort tonight. All in my opinion, we can actually put all but one player in decent performances tonight. Like you said, I agree with you on the Andy Carroll situation. Lanzini, he came on as a sub. Talk to me about Lanzini. Let's move away from the referee.
Immediate impact. He's the one that set Andy Carroll up.
Yeah.
He's the one that got the ball and crossed it over for Carroll to whack it. And admittedly, it was a great shot.
Still, he could have gone down.
Yeah, he could have gone down.
A tackle came in, and he could
have gone down, and because he was honest,
Yeah.
You know, he didn't. Whereas Bernardo Silva, you know, thought of nothing else but to fucking dive. You know, and that's the big difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lanzini, you know, made absolute sense to play Lanzini half a game and Nasri half a game. They just both come back from injury, and actually Nasri was a little bit sort of non-existent in the first half. He didn't really do much.
Apart from there was that spell of, I don't know,
the little ticky-tacky
football, and you'll definitely, you know, you can totally picture it. The West Ham social media will grab that little spiel of that performance
and
play it over and over again. But to be fair, still, do you know what? I don't mind seeing that over and over again, because I was watching it and I was thinking, have we still got that ball? Have we still got that ball? And in actual fact, they were doing really, really nice football, and it was just a bit of confidence brewing in the team.
But I don't want to be a killjoy. But as soon as it got to Andy Carroll, that's it. That's when it went.
God.
But anyway.
So obviously, you know, Andy Carroll had that chance. It was saved, and then, you know, Man City made a few substitutions. They started to attack a bit more, but I didn't feel like there was any further threats. There was a couple of decent saves from Fabianski, but nothing to really write home about. Any other kind of thoughts on tonight's game?
I don't know. I'm you know, like I said at the start, I'm a bit disappointed at Pellegrini. He you know, he should have stuck to his guns, you know, what he was saying all season, and he should have picked a stronger team, you know. But no, you know, we played well. We really disciplined. You know, we had a, you know, we played extremely well throughout the whole game, and we deserved to get something from tonight. And as you say, we got cheated by a soft penalty in the, you know, the referee falling for it. But no, I think that you know, most of the team can sort of hold their heads up high. Fredericks is looking good. Didn't Ben Johnson have a great, you know, debut? Yeah. You know, he's going to be, and there was a lot of talk about Ben Johnson. There's been for quite some time. Got quite a few youngsters, and apparently he really impressed over in Malaga. And it's great to, you know, to see him starting. And I reckon, you know, he's him and a few other youngsters are going to help to fill one or two voids when we start shedding some dead wood at the end of this season.
Absolutely, and it was lovely to see. You know, he got a decent standing ovation, albeit part of that was probably to do with Zabaleta coming on. Yeah. But at least Johnson can feel like it was for him. But, you know, he got pulled off, and I think that was a really decent, strong sign that maybe he's going to be involved at the weekend against Newcastle.
I reckon. Well, I don't know what the injury to Creswell is. That's worrying. He keeps getting small niggles throughout the whole season.
Well, to be fair, I think even I know we're not fans of Masuaku here, but I think between the two of them, they keep getting knocks left, right, and centre. And the rumour is that they are carrying injuries, and they've been carrying these injuries for a while. So I think that's maybe forced Pellegrini's hand to look at Johnson. Yeah.
Okay. I reckon. Well, depending on whether this injury to Creswell is a bad one or not, Johnson, you'll see Johnson starting on Saturday, you know, but you'll see a few players coming back as well. You know, I can't see Obiang playing on Saturday. I can't see I can't see Carroll starting on Saturday. I hope that Pellegrini's done the right thing, and the players that he's rested, because he had Snodgrass, he had Hernandez on the bench. Noble was rested completely. So you got a few players. Arnautovic, you know, if he comes back, you got a few players coming back, and I hope it was worth it, because I really hope we put in a solid performance on Saturday and get the win that we kind of should get against Newcastle.
Before we go and round this up, what was your quick thoughts on Obiang's performance? Because I've been probably one of his biggest critics this season, I think, and I know your strong opinion on Mark Noble, but when it comes to Pedro Obiang, I find that he's showing really big dips in form, and I'm just thinking he's gone a bit missing, and he's just not, you know.
Yeah, I think I said it earlier. I think Rice and Obiang had all right. They were just all right. Nothing to write home about. Obiang, you know, I've been one of his biggest fans, and I've been kind of disappointed with him this season. You know, I thought that, you know, he could have really properly challenged Noble for that central spot next to Rice. and he hasn't done it really, and it's a real shame. But we keep hearing rumours that he hasn't settled in London. He wants to go back to Italy himself. There was, I think, Pellegrini put a stop on a transfer that was possibly going to happen in January. He wanted to keep him, and it's such a shame because Obiang is quite a silky player, he's a classy little player, and he just hasn't really turned up. And it's he could have really forged a proper starting place in West Ham, but he's kind of stagnated. He hasn't moved forward. And if that is because he's restless, then I understand that, and he'll be another player that will go in the summertime. So I can see why Noble starts because there's no one else. Next to Rice, we don't have anybody else apart from Obiang to challenge him for that position.
It'll be an interesting couple of days still in the lead up to the game on Saturday against Newcastle. A big day for West Ham. We're naming the big stand after
Billy Bonds,
legend Billy Bonds, so that will be a great thing to do. And there's going to be a couple of big decisions that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Pellegrini does because I think we're going to see more changes again. I'm looking forward to seeing if Johnson does start. I'm looking forward to seeing, Lanzini's got 45 minutes tonight, and Lanzini does look good still. Lanzini's been out for fucking 8 months. And he's come in, and twice I've seen him, he's looking good, mate. He's looking.
I can see Lanzini starting over Nasri on Saturday.
Yeah,
that's quite possible.
But what options? What an option off the bench to have Nasri on the bench,
Well, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, yeah. But I can see, as we said, I think if Creswell is still carrying the knock, Johnson will start. I think Noble will come back in to be next to play alongside Rice. Antonio, I don't know what happened. He looked out of breath around about 70, 80 minutes.
But just very briefly,
he played well.
Yeah,
he played well.
But he is like that every single game. This is the thing. I mean, I used to think the same as well about Antonio, but I commented on it recently about him, and he still continued to do what he does. He's just he runs himself into the ground. See, in the first half in particular, I thought he was our best player in the first half. To be honest,
yeah, he'll start on Saturday. I think I don't think that knock on his shoulder will put him out because if it did, he would not come on in the second half. And I can actually see Lanzini starting on Saturday, and either Hernandez or Arnautovic up front, and Anderson over the left. I want to see a bit more from Anderson. I was a bit disappointed with him tonight, but yeah. And then you've got on the bench, you'll have Snodgrass, Nasri, either Arnautovic or Hernandez, depending on who starts. I mean, not bad. Yeah. And then you've got Zabaleta. Not bad. That one or two more players coming back would be even better. But
Well, I tell you what. Make sure you get your comments in below. Let us know your thoughts on what Stell's said. Stell's strong opinions on Andy Carroll. That I don't even need to give you my opinion on him because I'm just going to say, Stell, I agree with you. I mean, I wasn't his biggest critic last season in particular. I just felt like sometimes he was unplayable, but he just doesn't work under the Pellegrini system, and that's it now, so it's time to move on. So get your comments in below, let us know your thoughts on tonight's game, and obviously, of course, the referee scoring a goal for Manchester City tonight. It's really pissed me off, and also the commentators. It's the commentators tonight. I don't ever normally get wound up by them, but tonight I was really wound up by them because it was like West Ham were irrelevant. And it was just this Manchester City versus Liverpool. And I'll tell you something, I'm going to put it out there, it's controversial. Let me know your opinion. I fucking want Liverpool to win the league. Personally, I want Liverpool to win the league.
Unfortunately, mate, it's what you say. The referees all starstruck, and the commentators are also starstruck. Which is why I think near the end of the game, the commentary I was listening to, the commentator said West Ham have been well disciplined tonight. West Ham played well, but otherwise you're absolutely right. It's all about the big team missing a chance. It's all about the big team not taking their chance. It's all about the big team having played too many minutes. It's all about the big team having a player out injured and all that shit. Whereas they have got an opposition to play, and West Ham played their part tonight. Because if West Ham didn't turn up, Man City would have thumped us 10-0. Yeah. But they didn't. you know. And I get you. It is really it is pissy, but it is all this shit about, well, they're the big team, aren't they? Fucking fed up with it, mate.
Yeah.
You know, give us credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, listen. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been great, and well, it's not been great because we got beat, but there are positives to take. We can take positives from tonight, considering we've seen the team selection. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in below, hit that thumbs up. Make sure if you are in and around the London Stadium on Saturday that you fancy coming to the official supporters club of West Ham, get in contact with us. We'll let you know where it is. It's a great venue to go to before and after a game, although I think it's only open before the game this week.
I'm not sure, actually. No, actually, yeah, it's a late start, so you're right.
It's a late start. So make sure you get in contact with us and let us know. And of course, we are partnered up with Umbro, so give them a cheeky like on Twitter. Anyway, he's been Stel, I've been Anton. We are Irons United. Let's get behind West Ham for the weekend. Come on, you Irons.